All right, let's talk about something that's hiding in plain sight. In pretty much everything we eat and drink. I'm talking about sugar. And today, we're going to uncover the surprising and frankly bitter truth about what it's actually doing to our brains.
You know that feeling, right? That mid-afternoon soda you just have to have, or that donut with your morning coffee that feels, well, non-negotiable. If that sounds familiar, trust me, you are not alone. And it turns out that powerful craving isn't just a bad habit, it's your brain's ancient biology being hijacked.
So stick with me here. We're about to pull back the curtain on this whole thing. We're going to explore the ancient story behind our modern cravings, and then reveal what the science says is really happening inside your head with every single sweet bite.
To really get our relationship with sugar, we have to go way, way back. Because right now, most of us are caught in what you could call the modern sugar trap.
This all starts thousands and thousands of years ago. See, our bodies are still running on some seriously ancient software, hardwired for a world that just doesn't exist anymore. For our ancestors, finding something sweet wasn't a daily thing. It was a rare, high-energy jackpot that was absolutely crucial for survival.
And that brings us right to the heart of the problem today. There's this huge mismatch between our ancient biology and our modern world. Put simply, we have caveman cravings in a candy store world.
I mean, just look at this contrast. For our ancestors, sugar might have been a once-a-year treat, a handful of berries, maybe a lucky find of a beehive. For us, it's an endless ocean of sodas and pastries, and it's available 24/7, just a few steps or a single click away.
And this constant, overwhelming access to sugar has completely short-circuited our brain's reward system. It's thrown our natural balance into total chaos, and it traps us in this really dangerous loop. The more sugar we eat, the more our brain craves it.
So what is actually happening in your brain when you give in to that craving? Okay, let's get into the science of it and look at sugar's multi-front attack on your mind.
The damage really happens in 4 key ways. First, there's a dopamine bomb that rewires your brain. Second, it causes direct harm to your memory center. Third, that all-too-familiar feeling of brain fog. And finally, a dangerous internal fire we call inflammation.
Okay, first up, the dopamine bomb. When you eat sugar, your brain releases this massive rush of dopamine. That's the pleasure chemical. But here's the thing, this is the exact same pathway that gets hijacked by addictive substances. Your brain starts needing more and more sugar to get that same feeling, turning a simple craving into what feels like a real neural necessity. Next, and this one is genuinely shocking, is the damage to your hippocampus, your brain's memory hub. Research is showing that a high-sugar diet can actually reduce the birth of new brain cells and even lead to brain shrinkage in this critical area. Just let that sink in for a second. Sugar can literally shrink the part of your brain responsible for your memories. Third is something I think a lot of us have felt, brain fog. You know that groggy, sluggish, spaced-out feeling after a big, sugary meal? Well, that's your brain on a sugar roller coaster. Those intense blood sugar spikes and crashes totally mess with your focus, slow down your thinking, and leave you feeling just mentally clouded.
And finally, there's that internal fire. Sugar is a major cause of inflammation. When that inflammation reaches your brain, scientists call it neuroinflammation. You can think of it like a constant low-grade fire that's damaging your brain cells and can pave the way for devastating conditions down the line, like Alzheimer's and dementia.
This connection is so powerful, so undeniable, that some scientists have actually given Alzheimer's a new name. They're now calling it type 3 diabetes, which directly connects the disease to how our brain processes sugar. That is a truly sobering thought.
Okay, I know that was a lot of heavy information, but the story does not end there. The good news, the really good news, is that you are not helpless. You can absolutely fight back and reclaim your brain's health. This brings us to the most hopeful part of this whole story. Our brains are not set in stone. They have this incredible ability called neuroplasticity. That just means they can rewire themselves, they can adapt, and they can heal. The damage isn't necessarily permanent. You can stop it, and in a lot of cases, you can even start to reverse it. So where do you start? You start with simple swaps. Instead of processed sweets, go for natural options, like fresh berries or dates. The fiber in those foods helps manage the sugar hit. And you want to fuel your brain with what it truly craves, healthy fats. Your brain's best friends are things like walnuts, avocados, and fatty fish like salmon.
So what's a realistic target here? Well, the World Health Organization gives us a really clear number to aim for, 10%.
What they recommend is that added sugars make up no more than 10% of your total daily calories. This means you kind of have to become a label detective because hidden sugars are absolutely everywhere. They're in sauces, breads, yogurts, you name it.
And you know, a funny thing happens when you start to cut back. Your taste buds actually reset themselves. You start to notice the natural sweetness in whole foods again. You'll find that life doesn't become less sweet at all. The sweetness just starts coming from much better sources.
So I'll just leave you with this thought. When you consider cutting back on sugar, try not to focus on what you're losing. Focus on what you're protecting. What future moments, what beautiful cherished memories will you save by taking care of your brain, starting today?